Hey guys, and welcome to this masterclass on peak performance. My name is Calvin Coyles, and next to me I have Mac Arundel, and we're from Unrivaled. Really excited to have you guys on the masterclass with us. Today we're going to jump into personal performance. How do you get the most out of your day? Energy, stress management, looking at time management and efficiency, productivity, mindset hacks, emotional mastery, and the 60% rule. There's a heap of content to cover. I've got Mac here with me. Let me give you a bit of an introduction. If you're not Matt or heard about Mac before, you certainly will, and you'll certainly hear plenty of him moving forward as well. So Mac used to be an elite athlete competing in 5 different competitive sports at the same time. Now, I struggle to compete in one thing at the same time, but he did it in 5. Gymnastics, CrossFit, top 100 in Australasia. He was doing basketball, was doing cricket, was doing AFL football, was doing diving, I think, at one point in time as well. All of the above, right? And doing Olympic lifting and weightlifting as well, which I think was just incredible. Built like this, and funnily enough, now having gone from training, what was it, 3-4 hours a day? Minimum 4 hours a day. Training for minimum 4 hours a day. Now he's looking at what's called minimum effective dose, which we'll jump into on this masterclass, which is completely different. The idea of just training once a week. So that works a lot better for me. And if I can look like Mac and do 1 day a week, I'll be pretty happy with that. So we're going to jump into all of those types of things. Mac, really good to have you here.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Oh, my pleasure.
It's going to be exciting. These 3 classes are going to be lots of value, and honoured to deliver it to you guys.
Yeah, and so guys, just to tell you a bit of a background on this, we're doing 3 of these masterclasses. So the first one we're doing together is our personal performance, peak performance masterclass. It's really about you getting the most out of you. Then I'll be sitting down with Mac again, and we'll be looking at peak performance from a physical standpoint. So energy, nutrition, training, exercise, breakfast, that sort of stuff. How do you get the most out of your life physically? And if you're watching this and you're a high achiever, you're making a couple of $100,000 a year, you want to hit $1 million, it's not only getting your head in the right space, but your body. Because we know that energy, performance, vitality comes from how strong your physical body is. And so we're going to look at that. It's not as difficult as it seems. You don't have to put anywhere near the same amount of time, energy, and effort as you think you do. And providing that you're effective at what you do, then you'll succeed. So that's our second masterclass. And then the third one is looking at business and looking at business growth hacking. There's certainly the principle, and this is something that we talk a lot about today and moving forward, is the 80-20 principle. How can I get a disproportionate result for a very little amount of effort? How can I do just 20% of my activities to produce 80% of my results? And whether you're wanting to grow revenue, improve your staff, improve your sales capacity, build a bigger profile and a brand, or just feel like you're making more of a difference in the world, this is going to be really quite powerful. So 3 masterclasses. Important to know as well, no sales in these. This is just going to be probably about 40, maybe 45 minutes of just content. So we want to give you a heap. What I will say up front, though, is we have an amazing 7-day program as part of what we do with Unrivaled called The Edge, which is where we take these content pieces deeper for you with a lot of accountability and support to make it relevant and real for you. If you're interested in that, reach out. We'd love to give you access to that and plug you into that program as well. Let's jump straight into it.
Rock and roll.
Let's talk about time management. So, as I said, you train for at least 4 hours a day. You run your own business. YWS now, we've got 130,000 clients in 74 countries. I run 4 or 5 companies today. They're all doing very, very well. Got a multi-million-dollar organization. So managing time is a real powerful point. How do you manage time as a man, as a leader of a business, as a peak performer, as someone that trains and exercise? What are some of the things that you do to allow yourself to get the most out of every day?
Really good question, and I'll start off with a story of when I used to play AFL. I was a key backman, and I used to always take their key forward. And so mentally going into this game, I was like, right, I'm only playing half a game. Knowing full well I was never going to play only half a game, I played the whole game.
Of course.
But if I could mentally prep for half the game,
yep,
in a metaphor sense, if you can do the preparation, the rest of the work is easy.
Right.
So what I used to do is work my absolute arse off for the first half of the game. Every contest he went to, I was there.
Right.
Every mark he went for, I spoiled.
Right.
Everywhere he went, I just stuck to him. And
Right.
so eventually you just build, you break him down.
Right.
So you get in his mind. So it's like, well, far out. Why am I going to run all this way? I might as well just stand in the goal square and call for the ball.
For sure.
And so for half the game, I would run my ass off, and then for the second half of the game, I would bludge. And in saying that, you bludge it, you're still working hard, but you're not doing the physical work. So that's how I've adopted my time management skills into my life now, is preparation. And if you can do everything you can to set yourself up, if you work hard for 20% of the time, The rest of the 80% should be cruising. And so that's what I do. I ask myself some very key, valuable questions at the start of each week. I plan and structure my day, and I'm constantly aligning back to these key questions to make sure that I'm sticking to my 20% to yield 80% result.
Nice, I like that. And one of the things, we just got the computers here, and one of the things I know you have as well is you have a set calendar. Talk us through that, having structure. And one of the things I get you guys to write down as part of this masterclass is if you don't put your priorities in your schedule, somebody else will put their priorities in your schedule. So how do you structure your week ahead of time to make sure that you get the big things done that you want to get done?
Perfect. You guys probably heard it. Schedule your big rocks first. You've got your important and urgent tasks. You've got your important and not urgent. You've got your not important, not urgent. And am I missing one? No, it's your quadrants. And then your
not important, not urgent, important, not urgent, urgent but not important, and important and urgent.
So you schedule your big rocks first. And so I make a default calendar, and I make sure that I work in 90-minute blocks because
meridian cycles for the brain.
And I only allow people to interrupt my calendar in the second half of the day.
Right. Okay. Cool. So the first half is for you. Second half is flexible.
Absolutely. And so my big rocks for me is my morning routine. I make sure
we're going to dive into that, guys, as well. By the way,
I make sure I have my morning routine that is about myself and education and growth and relaxation and dropping my brainwaves into an alpha state so I can be creative. I ask myself some key questions, and then I go ahead and perform my morning tasks.
Nice.
Then if you want to interrupt my day, at least I've got my big rocks done. So if anyone wants to schedule an appointment with me, talk to me over the phone with my clients, it's 2 p.m. or onwards.
Nice, I like that. And guys, for a lot of people in the beginning, when they don't have clients and people watching this are traditionally very, very busy, it's so easy to vibe off the significance of people need me. And instead, what you need to understand is that you need to be your best in order to deliver your best. And so things like training, things like morning meditations, things like your morning rituals, things like even it might be as simple as getting up and drinking some water on a morning. Some people are so busy being busy that they allow themselves to be reactive. And one of the biggest killers of productivity is reactivity. Productivity means to produce, activities that produce. And so if you are going to be productive means to produce more, I want you to understand that peak performance is not a 24-hour-a-day cycle. Usain Bolt trains 4 years for 9 seconds. It's about delivering huge value, producing a result in huge quantities in just a small amount of time. As we talk about the idea of meridian cycles, 90-minute cycles, I'll structure my day much the same. I get up, I very rarely do things in the morning other than just do a quick check-in with my team. We do a little huddle. But outside of that, I'll do 2 big rocks in the morning. I'll do a 90-minute big rock and another 90-minute, which means that if I do just 2 things every day, I get 10 things done a week. If I get 10 things done a week, 50 weeks of the year, that's 500 big things. If you did 500 big things, you double your business, minimum. Right? Like, people don't do any big things, and that's why they don't grow. So if you just did 1 big thing every day or 2 big things every day, you make that happen. And so my question to you is, how do you guard your time? Because it's the most valuable resource we have. And then I would really say energy with that as well. How do you guard that so that you then can step up? And that's a powerful question we're going to jump into a little bit more depth. And then riding on that as well as understanding, and this is something that we go through in the Edge. What's your natural cadence? Some people are going to be on peak, as Mac would say, in the morning. Some people are going to be in the afternoon. For me, I'm the afternoon. I come alive, I'm a lot more social, I'm a lot more energized in the afternoon. In the morning, I'm a little bit slower to get started, which actually works for me to do my isolated stuff then. And Mac's the opposite. He's on peak in the morning and off. So we'd have a nice time. We're doing this at lunchtime today because it's the nice halfway ground, right? So, talk a little bit about chronotypes. I'm getting that right?
Yeah,
just touch on that a little bit if you can. And morning, afternoon, and that probably segues a little bit into morning rituals as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's, you probably all heard of it, the night owls and the morning types and stuff like that. But we can make it really, really simple. There's 4 big categories. There's lions, wolves, bears, and dolphins.
Okay, not lions, tigers, and...
And in really simple format, there's morning people, there's afternoon people, there's evening people, and then there's people that are usually having a lot of trouble sleeping and you just don't understand.
Insomniacs,
Insomniacs. And so it's all about hacking your biology. And everyone's made up of different biology, and some people are just morning people and some people are just evening people. I'm myself a morning person. I wake up every day without an alarm, and it's the same time every day. And then I just don't understand how people are still at their laptops at 12 o'clock, 1 a.m. I just don't understand that.
I don't understand how we can wake up without an alarm, and I'm just coming alive at that time.
So a productivity hack is know yourself, know your biology, and work in cadence with your hormones, because on a biological level, we are more creative at certain times of the day. We are more better suited to strength workouts. So if you really want to be an athlete like I was, you can hack your strength cycles as well, or during the day.
Yep.
You can hack your strategic and analytical. So if you want to be more argumentative, if you want to get your point across and see other people's point of view, you can schedule meetings for that.
Nice.
So there's different ways that you can hack your natural biology.
Nice, fantastic.
And if you're looking at managers out there as well, knowing your team's biology as well. So we know each other's biology and our team as well. So therefore, he's not going to get me to do something late at night, and I'm not going to, when I'm waking up and I'm ready to attack the day straight away, I'm not calling Cal straight up. I'm
100%.
waiting until the afternoon for me to get some action out of him.
When we first started working together, I got Mac to do it for the whole YWS family, and it turns out that everyone's lions except me. I'm a bear. So I work very well in the afternoon. The guys all work really well in the morning, which means I just suck it up and I find a way to be on peak in the morning, because that's when I know my team's going to be there. So most people that will watch this video that are peak performers are in a position where you realize there's only so much you can do yourself. If you are still flying the flag that you have to do it yourself, just turn it off, because performance is a team sport. Yes, you can succeed individually, but there's only so much you can do. In fact, it's quite isolating and lonely doing it like that. What we want to do is create a community of people that you can really drive results. It means being slower, more patient, but when it gets started, you can't be stopped. So understanding that, then it's about how do you serve people the most. And I love the point that you make, Mac, about going, well, I know I've got people that are relying on me. I know I've got people that I need to serve, whether they be clients or team members. And I'm going to make sure I look after myself first and put my own oxygen mask on and make sure that I'm the best that I can be, so that I can then be the best for others as well. So diving into that, morning rituals for me have been something that I've struggled with, admittedly. I love the concept of it, and whenever I'm in my best, I have one and I'm strong with it. You know, but for those of you who don't know, I normally travel to about 20 countries a year, and so when you're on a plane every 3 days, it's very difficult to keep something going. That said, having now been a little bit more settled, you've shared some great content with me, which I now do as well. I've got a big water bottle. I know one of the things you do is at least a liter of water every day to start your morning within the first hour of waking up. Hydration is so powerful. I'm stealing all the good content from Matt tonight. But talk to me about your morning ritual. We've got some great questions. You've got to make sure a pen and piece of paper for this, by the way. But talk to me about how you set your day up, being an alpha in the morning, making sure that you're on peak so that you smash the day, so that you're not reactive. Talk to me about how that day unfolds for you in the first hour, 2 hours of your morning, and you set it up.
Absolutely. So I first wake up and I change my physiology. Okay. And I pinch a lot of this from other mentors, big wigs in the industry, you know, Tony Robbins, Tim Ferriss, Ben Greenfield.
Yep.
And I wake up and I change my physiology, and how I do that is by a cold shower. Mm-hmm. And not only in the physical, well, we'll probably talk about this in the physical peak performance, about the benefits of cold thermogenesis and fat loss and hormone regulation.
That just means freezing your ass off. You don't want to cold thermogenesis, it's just being really cold.
But anyway, the cold shower... You want to wake up? Bang, you're awake.
Don't need a coffee. You just jump into, especially if you're in Melbourne. You're in Melbourne. I'm in Perth. It's pretty warm, but in Melbourne, you're freezing your titties, right?
Then the other thing I do is I make my bed. It's really, really simple. I stole this.
This is high-level peak performance. Make your bed.
And the reason why I do this is I stole it from Tim Ferriss, and he says if you can have one win of the day that no one else can interrupt, it's make your bed. So now I do those two things religiously. And then it's setting my day up for success. Yeah. And we know that your gut is your second brain. So if you want to be focused, if you want to be on fire mentally, your belly and your gut needs to be very, very healthy. So I have a liter of water within 1 hour of waking, and I also do a sort of like a concoction which has apple cider vinegar and bicarb soda in it.
Super alkaline. We'll talk about that in the next podcast.
Absolutely. So that sort of sets me up. Then I do some education, and I drop my brain waves into an alpha state so I can be creative. And now when I'm in this creative space, I ask myself some really important questions.
Yeah.
And these questions, so write these down. These questions are in my daily rituals, which is aligned to my weekly outcome, which is then aligned to my monthly outcome, my quarterly, and my yearly. So you break it all down. And the first thing I ask myself is what am I grateful for? 3 things I'm grateful for. Now, the categories, it's easy to go, yeah, cool, I'm grateful for my bed, my dog, and
sunshine or
sunshine,
water. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think it's really, really important to mend old relationships, and because when you mend or energetically fix old relationships, you can then move on and grow, and it's about continual growth. And Tony Robbins says it best: if you're not growing, you're dying. So what I do is it's the first one is an old relationship that needs improving, mending, whatever. So I'm grateful for that learning experience. The second thing that I'm grateful for is something that is priceless to me. The sun on my skin, the wind on my face, something that no one can ever take away from me. And the third thing I'm grateful for is the opportunities that are about to happen. Right. You know, potentially working with someone if you're in a joint venture, or the opportunity of an event coming up, or with you. Something that you're working on. Yep. So 3 things I'm grateful. Then I have a look at what I did yesterday. What did I get done? What went well? What didn't go so well? Where did I waste time?
Yes.
And where was I at my best? Now, those questions all lead to the 80-20 principle. Yep. And that is, sticking to 20% of your effort will yield 80% of your result. And so that's my question that follows that. Did I stick to my 20% to yield 80% results? Nice. Talk about time management. If you are aligning back to that question every day, if you're going straight to your big rocks every day, and you look, where did I waste time? Facebook, where did I waste time? Instagram, where did I waste time? Emails that really don't matter but can bulk up, and people just want to check them off their list because it releases endorphins, the feel-good hormones. And then what were my top wins? And how could I have made yesterday even better?
Nice.
Now, if you're continually aligning back to those questions, you're continually learning and going, cool, I'm learning from my mistakes. Where was I at my best? Where was I at my worst? Did I stick to my 80-20? Yep. Bang, and you can move forward and be productive. Right. But I also end with these really key questions. These are my weekly questions. Now, you might think, oh, this is so many questions, but going back to that footy scenario, if you do the hard yards,
for sure,
which is really answering questions for 3 to 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
You set your day, your week, your month, your year up for success.
Yes.
So, what am I 100% committed to this week? What are my top projects that are a must to be completed? What actions just need to get done? What are my profit-producing activities? And my last 2 questions are the big ones. And it's, what people can I reach out to this week who can help me achieve my goal? But the number one, the gold nugget, is how can I add value to them? So if you align to that every day, you know your big rocks. You can schedule it first thing in the morning. I know who I'm reaching out to, how I can help them. Makes me feel good. Then I get something in return because then they can help me achieve my goal.
100%.
You stick to your 80-20. And that's my morning ritual to set my day up for success.
That's powerful.
To manage time.
For sure. And that's completely different to some people's morning ritual, which is a double frappa macchiato and a Big Mac on the way through to work. And it's stunning to me how many people live off energy drinks, how many people live off stimulants and supplements. And let me just touch on this point, and we're going to go deeper into this in the next masterclass, is you can set yourself up by the way that you think, the way you feel, the way you eat, the way you drink, for success or failure. So how you finish the night, when we talk about morning rituals, I think it's also really important to talk about your evening ritual. So if you, for example, and let me be clear by saying this, everyone can be a morning person in the sense that you can feel comfortable waking up in the morning, because it's not about the time that you wake up, it's about how many sleep cycles that you have. And Matt is going to talk more about this in a little bit later. Point being, if you go to bed at 2 a.m. in the morning and you're wired and you're on Facebook or on social or watching Netflix or whatever, and you're exhausted and tired, and you go to sleep and you've got lights on and there's noise in the background, or the movie's still playing and you're falling asleep on yourself, and then you've got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to work, well, no wonder you're going to be exhausted. It doesn't take rocket science to figure that out. If you're well rested, you've got a great night's sleep, you're hydrated, you hydrate in the morning, you're going to feel wonderful. So your wind down time before you go to bed, I'd say the first hour of your morning is essential for the day. And importantly as well, at least the last half an hour, if not the last hour of your day, is very important. Drinking before you go to bed, having some nice water, staying away from caffeine and sugars and all that stuff. But also looking at as well, one of the things I like to do is on a Sunday, when I'm planning my week ahead is I like to reflect on what I do well. I like to reflect on my big goals that I'm working towards over the course of the year, and I'll give myself a 1 to 5 review. I'll go, 1 is I haven't made progress in that area. 5 is I really kicked some big goals. And the power of that is we both do this, but I've got these journals, moleskin journals, and I just filled them full of notes. This is a fresh one for me, but I've got dozens of them in my library back at home, and I'll review and go, in the last 3 weeks, I've given myself a 2 out of 5 for health. I know that whatever I'm doing, I'm not structuring it effectively. I love the feeling in the morning of getting up, and something that Ash and I are doing more of is we'll get up in the morning. I don't normally get out of bed early. I'd still be in bed now at lunchtime if I could, right? But I just love sleep. I love that the feeling of that. And so we'll get up early. We'll get up at like 5:30. And we'll go and do boxing. Now, it's dark when we get started, but the feeling of walking out of that boxing at 7 o'clock, the sun's just coming up, it's still cold and fresh, and everyone's still asleep. I love that. So I equally love that component, and having somebody to hold you accountable makes a big difference. But for me, firing my body up and changing my physiology by doing something really physical, because I'm not naturally more of that early starter, I need that kick for me to be able to get me into it. And then from there, I'm firing for the rest of the day. What I love about Mac's questions, though, which is the next thing I want to talk about, is focus. Where focus goes, energy flows and results show. And one of the things that I've learned from spending so long looking at people and working with people that have achieved things and not, is some people's hardwired focus is what's not working, what's missing, what's wrong. And some people's hardwired focus is on how can I make it better, how can I improve it, how can I add value. And it's just funny that they just naturally show up like that, but that's not always like that. It's trained. So the power of doing those questions in the morning, not just drinking the water or having the cold blast of the therapy or going for a walk or doing a meditation or making your bed, but training and disciplining yourself to be focused on gratitude, on opportunities, on where you're going, on moving forward, that's a real skill that takes time, energy, and effort that can be cultivated. We know it takes 68 days to create a new ritual and habit in your life, 21 to get momentum, 68 to lock it in, where it's harder not to do it than it is to do it.
Absolutely.
So you got to put in the time, but doing it gives you a disproportionate effort. You don't have to do it for every day for the rest of your life. Just do it for 68 days and you'll do it forever. But I want to give you 3 principles around focus, because if you do that in the morning, you're automatically doing this. But how we feel is determined by what we focus our attention on. So let me give you the principles of this. Number 1, are you focused on what you can control in life or what you can't control? You know, victims focus on what they can't control in their lives. And victors and heroes, people that achieve business success that is really unrivaled, are focused on what they can control at all moments in time. Otherwise, you get pressure and anxiety and self-doubt. So focus on what you can control. Next part, are you focused on what you have in your life or what's missing in your life? If you focus on what's missing all the time, you're constantly never feeling that there's enough. And there's an element of that because we want to be high achievers, and you're naturally focused on what I don't yet have. But we also need to build a place of confidence and awareness around what are the things I've accomplished. Like the fact that you're here means something. And I even get you to look 12 or 24 months back and go, 12 or 24 months, if I was doing what I'm doing today, I'd probably be considering myself a hero, right? So you have to be aware and appreciation. Tony Robbins talks about the idea that, you know, there's the art of fulfillment and there's the science of achievements. Fulfillment's an art form. It's very much cultivated about that. So am I focused on what I have or what I don't? And then finally, past, present, or future. Am I focused where I've been, where I am, or where I'm going? Now, this is the puzzle box that unlocks everything. Control, what you can or can't control, what you have or don't have, and past, present, or future. If you want to feel depressed and miserable, you'd focus on the past, what you can't control, and what you didn't have, right? It's a recipe to just mess yourself up. If you want to feel driven and motivated, you'd focus on the future, what you perhaps don't have, but what you can control, because I got it, I'm going to go and make it happen. If you want to feel blessed in gratitude, you'd focus present moment, what you do have, and probably what you didn't control. Because it's like, well, this is a beautiful moment. I didn't control the weather today, but I'm blessed to have that, right? Or I didn't control the government today, but I'm blessed that we live in a safe, beautiful country. So your focus determines so much, and if you can learn to manipulate those factors, you're going to change how you feel all the time, which I think is really quite powerful. And then building on that, and any value add there on focus, how do you shift your focus? And I'm interested to learn this as well from a peak performance perspective. In competitive elite sport, you would have had your fair share of defeats, because everyone does. When you get knocked down, when you lost the game where it was tight and you put it all on the line and you came up short, assuming that happened at least once, when that happened across 5 different sports, how do you keep yourself going when perhaps you couldn't buy a win?
the simple thing is know your outcome and
Right.
being pulled towards your outcome.
Right, as opposed to pushing it, right?
Yeah, it makes just getting up tomorrow easier.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. Knowing your outcome and then having it, shooting for the stars,
Yes.
wanting to be number one in whatever field you're in,
Yeah.
and then backing it down to what season are you playing right now.
Right. Okay.
And it's to manage energy, it's all about seasons throughout the week, throughout the day. Are you
Right.
on
Like
peak?
this.
Are you
Like
off
this.
peak? You know, am I on peak in the morning? That's my in season for the day. You know, when you're talking business, if you want to get, if you want to make more sales,
Yep.
statistically speaking, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is the best. So I'm in peak for sales Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Right.
Then I'm, you know, in peak and in seasons throughout the month and throughout the year. So to manage your focus and your energy is to know what
Yes.
season you're in, because you can't be in final season. You can't be playing the playoffs every single day and every
Yes,
single
for
week
sure,
because you'll
for sure.
burn out.
For sure.
So having that long term,
Unless you're the Golden State Warriors and they're just winning everything at the moment. Yeah.
so having that long term vision,
Yes. Yes.
being pulled to that,
Yeah.
and knowing what season you're in.
Nice. And I want to talk about stretching yourself here. And a lot of people that watch this will be people that never fully hit their goals. They set these crazy ambitious goals and they really do stretch themselves, but they never feel the taste of victory because by the time they even get close to it, they've just moved the goalpost that little bit further again. So this is a principle we've talked about. It's from a great book that we both read called Elite Minds. Sensational book. You should definitely check it out. I actually think it's in my book.
It's by Stan Beckham.
Yeah, great book. And in that book, he talks about the idea of a 60% rule, which is you want to set a goal. So let's start with this. Let's say financially, because it's an easy one to look at. Let's say last financial year, you made 500K. You're cool. What is that in this next financial year? What could I achieve that I'm 100% certain I would achieve? And that might be 500, it might be 400, it might be 700, I don't know. But it's not, yeah, of course I'm going to bang on my chest, I'm going to go and make it happen. It's an inevitability. It's like the sun's going to rise tomorrow, it's that certain for you. What's the 100% certainty range? That's not peak performance, it's not even really performance, it's just the status quo. What we then want to do is we want to racket up the level of doubt. And that might sound a little bit intuitive or counterintuitive, sorry for you, but you want to racket up that level. So you want to go from what is 100% to what is 90%, 80%, 70%, 60%. So 60% is you are 60% certain it's going to work, and 40% is that you're not. You're not going to go 50-50. It's not a toss of the coin. You want to give yourself the edge, but it's not that much more. You really got to be on your game, right? It's like if you're going into the game and it's a really tight final, for example, and one team's got 58%, one team's got 42%, you know, it is a good enough margin for error there. So you want to go in as a favorite, but not as so much that you basically rock it with your B team, is what I'm saying. So with that concept, what is your 60% result that you're aiming for? 60% of you is really confident you can make it happen, and 40% of you is going, you know, where we're not going to make this happen. That's where your level of peak performance is at. Yeah. I would say probably performance is probably sitting at somewhere between 80 and 90%. That's where you're pushing yourself. But peak performance being where you're really at the edge. That's where you are in that unrivaled space where you're doing things that very few people could push themselves to do. And by the way, 60% is probably to the outside going to look like a 30 or 40% chance of survival, right? Yeah. But for you, you got confidence already. You wouldn't be doing it. You're going to push that envelope. So little hack there, if you're never achieving goals, set them for 60% and then look at what is the 70% or the 80% with that. And we do this with businesses that are at scale, that are looking to go to the next level. You know, we made $1 million in our first 10 months. So I know what it's like to scale rapidly. That comes with a whole heap of headaches. But sometimes we're banging our head against the wall at $500,000 or 750, going, how do I go to the next level? It's small tweaks, it's little hacks. It's not this one big thing that's going to triple or 10x your business. It's a series of 5 or 10 1%ers that are going to compound. And with momentum, massive things can happen. So if you're at that point, you know, definitely consider looking at how we can do more together, because I think it's quite powerful. You know, people that are hustling, people that are making things happen, they don't sleep a lot. They have high levels of stress, and they're probably not having the level of sex they want. So I want to hear from your perspective, Mac, how do you manage really what is hormones, but sleep, sex, stress? How do you deal with that when you're under the pump in so many different areas?
Good question. Don't really know where to start. Let's start with sleep. If you can,
I would have started with sex, but you can start with sleep.
Well, I'm going to start with sleep, and because if you want to manage your stress, sleep more. If you want to have better sex, at the end of the day, sleep more. And I'll go into that in our in probably the physical one when we dig deeper into hormones and growth hormone, testosterone, libido. But sleep is absolutely crucial. So there's a few little hacks out there you can do is on your phone, switch it to nighttime mode.
Yes.
Instead of blue light. So blue light suppresses melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that induces drowsiness and sleepiness.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're constantly staring at a monitor, a phone, a computer, a TV, an iPad,
Lights on and stuff.
Absolutely. Internal lights. We're constantly bombarded by this blue light. Now, during the day, first thing in the morning, if you're struggling getting up in the morning, get some blue light into your eyes. But at night time, get that sucker away, and you want a nice orange or amber light for that.
And you have some sexy glasses, right?
Yes, I have.
I'm going to see if I can chuck up an image of these sexy glasses for you because they are wow. I mean, yeah.
Talk about sex.
Cover model.
You want sex, you wear these glasses.
You wear these glasses.
Don't wear these glasses if you want sex. No, they're blue light blocking glasses, and you wear them, and they wrap around your eyes, and they suppress all blue light into your eyes, so your eyes can neutral and you fall asleep like that.
Wow.
So sleep is super important. Stress, I'm a huge fan of meditation, and I do that during the day to drop my brain waves.
Yep.
We have different types of brain waves. For high achievers, constantly stressed people, you're probably in beta and theta, which is, to keep this really simple, going 100 mile an hour.
Yep.
You want to be able to drop that into your alpha waves, so you can be more creative, you can be calm and more productive. So meditation is huge for that.
Let me just touch on that. I think this is a really powerful, because I'm hearing some of this content for the first time. You know, a lot of men that are watching this video, and there's plenty of guys that watch this, and likewise women as well, we talk about the idea of being alphas. And I see so much of this in health and fitness, right? About being, you're an alpha. So let's look at that. Alpha being number one, it's the first in the Greek or Latin alphabet, I think. Let's go with Greek.
I was going to say Latin, actually.
Okay, we'll flip a coin, right? So Greek and Latin, same, sama. So it's the first, it's the dominant, it's number one. But what you're saying is the alpha brainwave, describe that to me. What's the alpha brainwave pattern? It's slower, it's calmer, it's creative?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So we have beta, theta, delta. Delta is for D for dead asleep, so that's your brainwaves, really slow brainwaves. Right. We have the theta waves, which is more like your daydreamy state.
Right.
So you're sort of you're conscious. I was going to say semi-conscious, but you're with it, but you're moving slow. You're daydreaming. You're coming up with some pretty cool ideas. Maybe if you're in a float tank, if you're in a really deep meditation. Right. Alpha brainwaves is a calm yet focused and creative state.
Right.
Beta waves is what most people go throughout the day.
Right.
So something that will enhance a beta brainwave is caffeine.
Right. So I want you to imagine this, right? If you want to be an alpha, well, just vibe with that because I know there's so many people spreading that around the world at the moment. If you want to be an alpha, the concept of being an alpha from just our biology is a brainwave pattern that is slower, that's calmer, that's clear, that's focused, that's creative. That is really what it means to be an alpha male or alpha female. The flip side of that being a beta, which means second, means follower, means someone that is not in charge, that is not the person that's calling the ultimate shots, is someone that's busy being busy, that's someone that's relying on caffeine, that's on the go, is firing all the time. Now, yes, we all have that person in us. However, you want to be leading your life. Not necessarily from a beta place, and jump in if I'm wrong here, but you want to be leading your life from an alpha place, or at least having a part of your day which is where you're in an alpha state, to be able to make sure that that's what's guiding, that's what's focused you, that's where it's pushing you in the right direction. I just wanted to touch on that because that's not a distinction I wanted to admit before.
Yeah, it's very crucial to have your beta stages. You can't just be if you're a high achiever, you're running a large corporation, then you can't just be a tree-hugging hippie and going, yeah, man, and just going with the wind. There are certainly times you need to be a beta. And most of the day, you'll probably be in a beta state, which is great. Yeah. But as Cal mentioned, it's very important to manage stress, sleep, sex. You need to drop in and out of frequencies. Otherwise, you're going to be there lying awake, just going, right, I've got to do this, that. You're going to impact your sleep, which is going to therefore create more stress, which therefore you're physiologically going to be more tired. You're going to rely on more caffeine, which is going to, what's the word I'm after? Going to enhance that beta effect, but... you're
going to be wired but tired. You're going to become a human doing, not a human being. you end up doing things that shouldn't be done at all. And it was once said, you shouldn't do effectively that which shouldn't be done at all, which I guess come back to our first point around time management, which is really about energy management, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So just controlling those, and then you can hack that as well. You can plug yourself into brainwaves throughout the day. You can plug yourself in if you want.
An app you'd recommend?
Yeah, there's 32 binaural beats.
Okay,
It's a paid version. It's only a few dollars, but it has 32 different brainwaves
and stuff up.
You can do you can do it for pick-me-ups. You can do it for power naps. You can do it for meditation. So instead of sitting there cross-legged and becoming an enlightened Buddhist monk for 3 hours, you can plug yourself into these brainwaves and get 10 minutes of meditation. It's going to drop you into that beta or theta state. Sorry, or alpha state.
Yes.
Quicker. Yes. So therefore, you can do 10 minutes. Get in, get out, and you've had like 30 minutes worth of productivity.
Wonderful, I love that. And part of that as well, and this is really, if you're listening to the audio of those things, or if you're listening to this audio now, you're welcome. The part of that key component is looking at anchoring, and emotional mastery is something that we're big on, and you can manipulate your emotions in so many different ways. Audio is a powerful way to do that, whether that be through a song or through listening to meditation tracks, something along those lines. Visual meditation can also be really powerful, or just changing your body kinesthetically. The cold shower is an anchor. It creates a stimulus response, as Pavlov would talk about. So emotional mastery is about understanding this principle and premise that you are in control of your emotions and how you feel every moment of every day. That's not to say that everyone is in control, but that you are. If you take the premise that you are in control, you then have ultimate power to choose how to feel in this moment. Because life is 10% what happens to us and 90% what we choose to do about it. And as a leader, you can be proactive or reactive. But I'd like everyone to write this down for those playing along at home, that you want to use the emotions in your life, not let the emotions use you. We all have pressures in our lives or stresses in our lives. We'd be lying to tell you that we didn't. But there are plenty of things that go wrong or that don't go right or that just get messed up along the way, or plans don't go according to plan. It's a beautiful quote that life happens when you're busy making other plans. So you have all these great plans and ideas and everything looks great on a whiteboard or flip chart or Excel spreadsheet, and then you get in the trenches. And then, Mike Tyson once said, I met Tyson a couple of years ago, he says, everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face, right? So when you have a full contact sport like business, like life, like relationships, like training, it's when you come up against obstacles that you've got to innovate, you've got to pivot. The challenge of so many people is that it doesn't go according to plan. They're control freaks. So as a result of that, it doesn't go the way I want. So then I get really stressed. When I get stressed, I don't call it stress. I just call it pressure, right? I have anxiety. And so then I chuck even more at the kitchen sink and I overwork, which means I get more stress, rely on more stimulants and supplements, and it's a vicious cycle. So let's strip all of it back. When you have something that doesn't go according to plan, you get to choose how to show up in the moment. You can show it with anger, with frustration, with disappointment, with sadness, with regret, with hurt, with viciousness, or you can choose to actually be a leader instead of being a follower, and you can instead rock up and show, okay, great, compassion, humility, drive, understanding, appreciation, tolerance, innovation, creativity. Fear, anger can be powerful emotions if you use them well. And we have an entire program built around the premise of looking at how do you master how you feel. And if you can unlock that, you unlock everything. It was once said that leadership, if you're running a team, this is very important, write it down. Leadership is about state elicitation, meaning if I'm working with Mac, for example, and I want to get the most out of Mac, I've got to find a way to get Mac into a peak state. Now, it helps because Mac's already in that state. But if I'm working with other staff members, for example, I've got to find a way to really get them to step up and to get themselves into a peak state. And that's different for every individual person, and even down to sleep patterns and things of this nature. So your emotions and how you manage them through the day is very important. And that's why we talk about hormones first, because it has so much of a pin around it. If you're grumpy and tired and frustrated, you're not bipolar. You just might have some emotion, some hormonal imbalance that you need to figure out. Or just get some sleep and stop being so stressed. All of these have massive factors to play. Anything you chuck into that?
No, that was really good actually. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And understanding who your partner is, who you want to get out of them. Yeah. They're rewarded intrinsically or extrinsically.
Great book to read as well. 5 Love Languages, talk about how to lead and influence, and very, very powerful book to have a look at as well. Let's talk about this. If you were to narrow it down and just talk about maybe one big thing, or even 2 big things that you think in your experience as an elite athlete, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a man, as a partner, all the things that go into being a human being today, what would you say are the big things, the big rocks, the key takeaways, the aces, so to speak? If you just get these done, these are the 80-20s, right?
Yeah. I'll give you the 100%.
Okay. Oh.
One thing, consistency. Now, it's if you are consistent, if you're playing the long game, you know, if you're listening to Gary Vee or you know, shoot for the long game, shoot for the long game. When I started out as an athlete, it's like, yeah, you want to win the flag, but you've got to go through the seasons. You've got to go through the juniors to the reserves to the seniors to the captain. You know, you've got to do your time.
Yes.
And how you do your time is consistency.
Yes.
And consistency trumps perfection.
Yes.
But it's doing little things that you know that make you perform consistently. Now, I know that I'm going to show up every day. I'm a habit of rituals. So become a habit of ritual. It's a no-brainer that I set myself up for success through hydration. I know when I'm hydrated, I'm not binge eating, I'm focused, I'm productive.
Yep.
So little things like that no matter what happens through the day, be consistent on your big rocks. But consistency trumps perfection.
Yeah, and I would say that if you break consistency down, and I've really looked at this concept, and when you strip it back, you realize it's not the smartest people in the world that win. It's not the people with the best business models or the most creative or had the most money. It's just the people that stay in the game the longest. And in fact, there's an actor in Hollywood, has a fascinating name, Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid, when he was getting started, realized that people came to Hollywood in LA and they came and they stayed for a year or two and then they left. And he was there for a little while. He realized this is a bit of a pattern. People come and go, come and go, come and go. He says, I'm just going to stay. He says, I'll have to hire me because I'll be the only person. If you keep seeing me for long enough, after 15 years, eventually somebody will give me a job. And now he's obviously a very successful actor. It's staying in the game long enough. Yeah. You know, I'm convinced that most of success is simply willing to stay in the game so long that it's very hard to beat somebody who never gives in. So consistency, if I was to splinter that out for you, I think it's really two things. Consistency for me is one, accountability, and second, support. Accountability being, hey, get your ass in a gear. You said you're going to do A, B, and C, and you haven't taken action on your goals. Make it happen. And then also looking at, well, okay, cool, I'm doing A, I'm not doing B because I don't understand this, and then the support to help. Yeah. For me, I 100% mirror that. Everything for me is about that consistency, and it's something that we naturally struggle with. It's just, that's life. You know, you're working towards these things all the time. And I would also say as well, one of the big rocks for me, the 80-20s for me, has been proximity. When I was getting started, wanting to grow my business and getting in, you know, I had 40,000 in debt. You know, I didn't know anyone, I had no database. There was none of this available at the time. When I was getting started, I started hanging around people that were doing well, and I started to make a little bit of money. And my family made about 100 grand a year, so I made 100 grand a year. And then I started hanging around with some mentors and some friends that were doing 3 to 5 million. And then within 10 months, I started making $1 million. You have to, because you start hanging around there. And you know, we just did a team off-site, and when we had Mac and some of our other business partners there, and it was incredible to have all the teams there, because it was about proximity. You know, when you are in that environment, you start to level up, because that's what you have to do to stay at the table, right? So I would say that if you're not the the most unhealthy person in your group by comparison, if you're not the poorest person in your group, the most unsuccessful, and I know comparison's the thief of joy, but just understand the principle here is you want to surround yourself with people that are doing better than you in life, because that's going to stretch you to go to another level, because you are the average of the people you hang around. And I use this, and I realized the power of this financially a long time ago, and it's allowed me to make a lot of money. But then what I also realized as well was that an area of my life that wasn't going well was my health. And I know I was skinny and I was all right in terms of health, but I never really mastered my body. Then I started hanging around with people that were going to the gym, that were training, that ran fitness businesses, that were leaders in the space. And now health is fantastic. So it's about you being able to put yourself in an environment where you're going to feel uncomfortable. Yeah. You're not going to feel like top dog, but that's important, because if you're the biggest fish in your pond, you need to change ponds.
You're in the wrong pond.
Absolutely.
And that was a key thing with me, with myself in being an athlete.
Yes.
As soon as I was number one in that team, you got to change teams. You got to change coach. You got to surround yourself with people who are going to level you up. Otherwise, Absolutely. You level down very, very quickly. Yeah. And as soon as I retired and got into business, I took that principle and just went, right, who can I sort out? I don't there was no ego here. It's not like, cool, I need to do all this by myself. It's like, right, who's doing better than me? Where do I want to be? Let's go and latch onto them and do like an internship and pay your dues and do all that. Think about the long term and be consistent, showing up. And every time that if you're the as you mentioned, the least wealthy, if you're the fittest, you got to move on.
Yeah, 100%. and you are that factor. So let me just quickly do a quick recap, and I hope you got great value. How long are we going for? About 44 minutes and 44 seconds. Wow, there's a bit of divine there.
Oh, there you go.
So we've covered a bit of peak performance. We've covered time management, morning rituals, the 60% rule, focus, sleep, sex and stress, emotional mastery, and then wrapping up with the two big rocks, which is one, consistency, getting it done. You want to change your life, change what you do today. And secondly, then also looking at your peer group and proximity to people that are at the next level as well. If we are that peer group for you guys, fantastic. Let's plug in. If you're climbing the mountain of your own life, and Max climbed Everest 2 times now.
I love the fact that you said climbed Everest. I just want to mention I haven't summited Everest twice.
Okay.
That's a huge summit.
I've been lied to this whole time. I was joking.
Let's go with that though. Yeah, summited. No.
With one hand. Right?
No, you're close.
Yeah, but you've been to Everest.
Yes, twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been up a little bit of it.
Yes.
Base camp?
Yes.
Okay, so he's climbed to base camp twice.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Everest, cool. I've been there as well on Google Maps. And my point being, you get to a certain point and there's always another level, right? Unless you've been to the very top of Everest and there's nothing really higher than that, but there's always another level to go to. As you get higher up this mountain in life, whether that be business, relationships, whatever it is, there tends to be less people there. And one of the things that I've found is that if you can find people, or latch on to people, that are a little bit further ahead in the climb. They can help you navigate the pitfalls, the damaging rocks, or perhaps some of the risks, but also as well they can encourage you to keep going, and it's enjoyable to spend the time with them as well because they're like-minded, they're at a similar level. So you want to make sure you've got people in your life that'll do a little bit better, and also some people as well that you're pulling up the mountain as well. So if you're in that place, you'd like help, reach out to us and connect. We're here to support and help. As I said, we have those 2 other masterclasses coming up. One is around physical peak performance, and then also biohacking as part of that. And then a third masterclass is looking at business performance, growth hacking, marketing and sales and leadership techniques that's going to take things to the next level. We can't wait to see you on that big thing. Best things for you today?
Always been in your presence.
Oh, you're too kind. You're too kind.
No, it's been fantastic. I'm really looking forward to the next 2.
Yeah. Give us your comments, guys, below, and please, use content, but please, if you got value, share it. Let people know about Unrivaled. We're here to serve, we're here to support, we love to help you take things to the next level. Until we see you again, remember to live strong, live with passion. Make today, guys, and every day a phenomenal, life-changing adventure, and above all else, remember to live life on your terms. We'll see you on the next masterclass with Unrivaled.